Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we are going to make this gorgeous Guzzling Granny baby blanket. Why is it called the Guzzling Granny? Well, it ends up eating a lot of yarn. It eats about twice as much yarn as my other Drunken Granny patterns. It's a super easy to remember one row repeat. It also has super straight edges, just part of the natural pattern. But if you're looking for a lush, squishy, cozy, easy baby blanket stitch, this pattern is for you. It can be made any size just by increasing your starting chain. The finished size is 36 inches across and 46 inches tall. That is 92 centimeters by 117. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern and a project planner, both are available on my website, secretyarnery.com. You don't have to worry about being able to read a pattern. All of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I'm speaking in this video. To make the Guzzling Granny baby blanket, you will need 800 grams of your main color and a little more than 100 grams of your second stripe and a smudge of your white. This is Savor from Ice Yarns. They are 200-gram skeins. All the details are in the written pattern. You will also need a 7mm crochet hook, 17 stitch markers if you're making your blanket the same size as mine, a needle for sewing in your ends, and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. To start the Guzzling Granny baby blanket, grab your stitch markers, your crochet hook, and your yarn. We're just going to start by making a slip knot any which way you normally do. Shrink that down and pop it onto your hook. Now we're going to chain sets of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now put your thumb on those pretty little V's, the nice part of your stitches. Just roll it gently to the side. We want to be looking right underneath our working yarn for this very first back loop, right there. So these little camel bumps, those are our back loops. We want to look for the one right underneath our working yarn. We want to pop a stitch marker into that 8th chain, into that 8th back loop, right there. And now chain 8 more. 1, 2, 3, and 8. And do the same thing again. Just roll that chain to the side, look for that back loop right underneath the working yarn, and pop a stitch marker into that stitch. So pause the video and keep working along, chaining 8 and popping in a stitch marker until you have chained 136 or whatever width you'd like your blanket to be. If you're making a blanket a different size, you're going to want to chain quite a few extra chains, extra sets of 8, because our chain will shrink up quite a bit when we work into it. So make a longer chain than the width of the blanket you want to make. When you have finished your 17 stitch markers or whatever width you're making your blanket, go ahead and chain 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now roll that chain to the side. We want to be looking for that back loop right underneath our working yarn, right there. So that is our first chain. We want to look for the second one, our second chain, the second back loop from your hook. That is where we're going to start our blanket. So into the second chain, the second back loop, just poke that back loop onto your hook and make 1 single crochet. Just like that. Now we're going to skip 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3. And for this pattern, for starting out, I'm going to be working into the back loops. That's going to help our blanket look really pretty and finished. So the top of the blanket will match the bottom of the blanket. But if that's hard for you, you can just work into your chain like you normally do. So skip 3 back loops, 1, 2, and 3, 3 of these little camel bumps. We're going to work into the 4th, and that is right before our stitch marker. So our stitch markers are here just to help us keep track of our chain. So into the 4th chain, wrap your yarn and make 7 double crochets into that very same stitch, just into that back loop. 7 double crochets. There is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 7 double crochets all into that very same stitch, just like that. Now we're going to skip 3 chains again, so 3 stitches. So roll that chain to the side. The first stitch has our stitch marker in it, or the first chain. So that is 1, 2, 3. We are looking for number 4, our 4th back loop right there. So into the 4th chain, 1 single crochet. There. That is 1 repeat right there. So that was fun. So wrap your yarn again, roll your chain to the side, look for that 4th chain. So we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, working into the 4th. And again, that's right before our stitch marker. So into that chain before your stitch marker, just slide that back loop onto your hook and make 7 double crochets. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that is 7 double crochets into the same stitch. Now get your chain untwisted. We want to count 3 more chains. The first one has that stitch marker in it. So that is 1, 2, 3. We want to go into the 4th chain, and now we're going to do a single crochet. So 1 single crochet into the 4th chain, just sliding that back loop onto your hook, 1 single crochet. So now we're going to skip 3 chains again, and you can see why these stitch markers are so handy. They're really helping us keep track of where we're going. We always want that 4th chain to be the one right before our stitch marker. So wrap your yarn, 7 double crochets into the 4th chain. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there's our 7 double crochets all into the same stitch. Now we're going to skip 3 chains again and work into the 4th. So just hold your chain to the side. We want to be looking for those back loops. The first one has our stitch marker in it, right there underneath our work a little bit. So there is 1, 2, 3. We want to go into the 4th chain right here with a single crochet. So 1 single crochet. Skip 3 chains again, and the 4th chain will be right before our stitch marker, right here. So into the 4th chain, 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now you can pause the video and keep working your way along, doing your 7 double crochets into the 4th chain, that one before the stitch marker, skipping 3 chains and working into the 4th with a single crochet. Repeat that all the way along your chain, and I'll meet you when you get closer to the end of your chain. At the end of your row, you'll have 4 chains left. So you're going to skip your 3, 1, 2, 3, and into that very last back loop right here, we are going to do 4 double crochets. So into that last back loop, just slide it onto your hook, 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is the end of row 1. To start row 2, and every row of our blanket, this is also the repeat. So to start your row, chain 1 and turn your work into the very first stitch. So you could just kind of trace up that double crochet right here. This is your very first stitch. You want 2 loops of that stitch on the top of your hook. So go in, we're going to make 1 single crochet into the very first stitch. So that is the start of our row. Now for this pattern, we're going to be doing all of our shells into this stitch right here at the bottom of each valley. So wrap your yarn and into the valley. If you need help looking for that stitch, just pull both sides and you'll see that opening. You want to go right into the center of that stitch, right there, and that'll give you your 2 loops on the top of your hook. So 7 double crochets into the valley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, all into that same stitch. Just like that. Now into the top of our hill, we are going to be doing our single crochet. So we're going to skip 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. We're going to work into the 4th. And the 4th, the stitch of it is a little bit going down the hill on the other side. So we've climbed up the hill, a little bit going on the down is where you're going to put in your hook. You're going to put in your hook right there. So into the 4th stitch, or the top of your hill, 1 single crochet. And now we're going to work into the valley, so just give that a little pull and you'll see where that stitch is. We're going to wrap our yarn and do 7 double crochets into the valley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And just make sure you have 7, especially as you're working on your blanket. So for me, I just put my thumb where that starts, where that fan starts, and I go 1, 2, 3, and I put my thumb in the middle, and I just kind of eyeball that there's 4 left. So that is faster for me than going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just go, there it starts, there's 3, and there is 4, so that is 7. Now into the top of your next fan or your next hill, right at the center stitch, so you can skip 3, go into the top of that hill, make 1 single crochet. Just like that. Wrap your yarn into the valley, just give that a little pull, into the valley, 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Into the top of your next hill, or the 4th stitch, just pop your hook in, 1 single crochet. Into the valley, so give those 2 fans a little pull. See that center stitch at the bottom of your valley. Wrap your yarn, 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if yours is scrunched up, that's normal. That's what your pattern is going to do. It's going to start getting a nice little texture to it. Into the top of your next hill, 1 single crochet. Just into that 4th stitch. Now you can pause the video and keep working along, doing 7 double crochets into the valley and 1 single crochet into the top of your hill. And I'll meet you when we get to the end of the row. At the end of our row, we have our fan, so you can still separate that with your fingers to see where your 7 stitches are. So after our 7 stitches, on this little slope going down, that is our single crochet. So you want to go right into that stitch. It's a bit on a hill. You want to put your hook in. Make sure you have both strands of that stitch on your hook. So wrap your yarn to finish our row. Put your hook into that very last stitch. Just there. Make 4 double crochets to end the row. There is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that. So that finishes row 2 and the repeat row. Now this is just a sample size, of course, but after you've finished row 2, this is going to be the width of your blanket. So it's a good time to get a measuring tape and just measure, because that is going to be the approximate size of your blanket. And if you want to change it, now is the time to do it. Now keep repeating row 2 until your blanket is the height you want it to be. If you want to do the same stripes that I did 8 rows of pink, 4 rows of gray, 2 rows of white, and then 59 rows of pink, and then I reversed it. So 2 rows of white, 4 rows of gray, and ended it with 8 rows of pink. So keep going until your blanket is the height you want it to be, or until you want to change colors. I'll show you how to change colors right now. At the end of the row that you want to change colors, we don't want to finish that very last double crochet. So I'm going to take that double crochet out. So I've done 3 double crochets. Now we're going to do the 4th double crochet a bit different, because we're going to change colors. So start your double crochet. So wrap your yarn, take off your 2 loops, but leave those last 2 loops on your hook. So get your new color of yarn, put a loop long enough to sew in with a needle later. Put that loop on your hook. Hold that tail down with your work, your old tail. Drag your new loop through. Drop your new tail. So now we have 2 tails to hold along with our work. And do your chain 1. Turn your work. You can pull these tails down so they kind of behave a little bit, and pinch them along with your work, and just do your first single crochet with your new color yarn. Now you can let go of those tails and just keep going with your normal pattern. So that is how you change colors, and you can just sew in your tails to the matching color when you're done. Now we're just going to make our top of our blanket match the bottom of our blanket. So we're just going to put on this nice little row of single crochet, just so our top of the blanket matches the bottom. We have finished with our regular 4 double crochets into the last stitch. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So same as we always do, 1 single crochet into that first stitch. Chain 2, 1 and 2. And now into our valley, 1 single crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2. Into the top of our hill, that 4th stitch, 1 single crochet. Chain 2. Into the valley, 1 single crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2. And into the top of the hill, 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2. So now you can pause the video and keep working along, doing a single crochet into the valley, 1 single crochet, a chain 2, 1, 2, a single crochet into the top of the hill, 1 single crochet, chain 2, all the way along your row. So now you can pause the video and keep working your way along, doing a chain 2 and a single crochet into the valley, a chain 2 and a single crochet into the hill, all the way along until you reach the end of your blanket. At the end of your row, do your last chain 2, 1 and 2, and into your last single crochet, 1 single crochet, and chain 1. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. Sew in your tails and you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I would love to see how yours turned out. You can find me on social media. All of those links are in the description box down below. And if you haven't joined or subscribed to this channel, go ahead and click those buttons under this video right now. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay hooked.